Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our second session in our series on coping with change and transitions. Today, our lesson is on our changing homes, moving, as it were. For those of you that are following along in your Bibles at home, we are in the book of Genesis, chapter 11, verse 27 through 12, verse 9. This is the call of Abraham. This is a fairly popular passage, so I don't know if I necessarily need to be reading the background. So we'll jump right into the optional icebreaker questions. As always, please feel free to leave comments in the comment section down below. Please feel free to ask questions. I will be sure to respond to them as quickly as I can. But anyway, our first icebreaker question is, what is the longest car trip you can remember taking with your family? Longest car trip I ever took with my family was summer of 1997. I was 7 years old. My family and I lived in the Detroit area all my life. We drove all the way out to Tucson, Arizona. We stayed in Tucson, Arizona for a few days. While we were driving there, we stopped off in St. Louis. We went to the Rocky Mountains. We went to Mesa Verde in Colorado. We just made this really long road trip. My parents bought this really portable television set that had a VCR in it, and they were able to just plug it into the cigarette lighter in the Suburban that we had at the time. And so my brothers and I were able to watch movies. We had plenty of games that we could play along the way. So that's the longest car trip my family has ever taken. What about you all? What's the longest car trip you can remember taking with your family? Let me know in the comments below. Second icebreaker question is, what is the hardest move you ever had to make? Hardest move I ever made was moving from Detroit down here to Arkansas. I mentioned this in the video yesterday, so I won't repeat too much of it, but my wife and I are very close to our families, so moving this far away from friends, family, area that we know, away from being able to watch the Red Wings and the Tigers and occasionally the Lions if we need a good laugh. That was hard. I think that was the hardest move I've ever had to make. I'm sure that's the hardest move my wife has ever had to make. But what about you all? What's the hardest move you've ever had to make? Let me know in the comments below. So again, our reading is Genesis 11:27 verse through 12:9. Listen now for the word of our Lord. This is the account of Terah. Terah became the father of Abram, Nahor, and Haran. And Haran became the father of Lot. While his father Terah was still alive, Haran died in Ur of the Chaldeans, in the land of his birth. Abram and Nahor got married. The name of Abram's wife was Sarai, and the name of Nahor's wife was Milcah. She was the daughter of Haran, the father of both Milcah and Iscah. Now Sarai was barren. She had no children. Terah took his son Abram, his grandson Lot, son of Haran, and his daughter-in-law Sarai, the wife of his son Abram, and together they set out from Ur of the Chaldeans to go to Canaan. But when they came to Haran, they settled there. Terah lived 205 years, and he died in Haran. The Lord had said to Abram, "Leave your country, your people, and your father's household, and go to the land I will show you. I will make you into a great nation, and I will bless you. I will make your name great, and you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and whoever curses you, I will curse. And all peoples on earth will be blessed through you. So Abram left as the Lord had told him, and Lot went with him. Abram was 75 years old when he set out from Haran. He took his wife Sarai, his nephew Lot, all the possessions they had accumulated, and the people they had acquired in Haran, and they set out for the land of Canaan, and they arrived there. Abram traveled through the land as far as the site of the great tree of Moreh at Shechem. At that time the Canaanites were in the land. The Lord appeared to Abram and said, to your offspring I will give this land. So he built an altar there to the Lord who had appeared to him. From there he went on towards the hills east of Bethel and pitched his tent, with Bethel on the west and Ai on the east. There he built an altar to the Lord and called on the name of the Lord. Then Abraham set out and continued toward the Negev. This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. Our first question in the reading for today is, what do you think was the main reason Abraham was willing to pick up and take off into the unknown? Challenge. He was ready to take on a new adventure. Reward. The Lord promised him some great stuff. Obedience. God told him to go. Discontent. He was restless. Faith. What God promises and orders, you believe and do. Probably, you could argue faith. God told him to do it, and what God tells you to do, you do it. What God promises, you believe it. I don't necessarily see Abraham as a very greedy person, so while the reward promised was very great, I'm sure the promise of having offspring, having children, having a continuance of the bloodline is very promising, it's very rewarding, it's exciting. I like to think that there's more to Abraham, there's a greater depth than just he was promised a reward, he wants that reward, period. So my answer is faith. What do you all think? Why do you think Abraham was so willing to pick up and take off into the unknown? Let me know in the comments below. Question 2. Who has traveled with you on your journey of faith? A family member? My spouse? A good friend? I've gone by myself? Someone else? My parents have definitely been along for the ride. I went from no faith before the age of 10 to religiously curious at the age of 10 to, by the time I was in high school, being very involved in Sunday school, youth group, church services, vacation Bible school, to, by the time I graduated high school, saying, God is calling me to be a pastor. So in a matter of 8 years, it went from, I don't really believe in God, to I want to lead other people in their belief in God. So that's quite a change. And then eventually got to the ordination process. My ordination process took a little bit longer than I anticipated. And my parents were definitely along for the ride. They definitely went through that process with me. They're the ones who really went along on my faith journey with me the most. Definitely my wife has been with me in recent years in my faith journey, but the largest movement of my faith journey has been before I even met her, so I would say my parents. What about you all? Who has traveled with you on your journey of faith? Let me know in the comments. Number 3, where would you like to be living and what would you like to be doing 10 years from now? Where would I like to be living? Closer to the Detroit area. It would make visiting family, friends, neighbors for Christmas, Easter, Thanksgiving, all these other holidays a lot easier. My wife loves sailing, so we would be near the Great Lakes, great places to sail. And also, we would probably be able to pick up Detroit sports games and University of Michigan games, something that my wife and I both enjoy. As for where I would like to be, or what I would like to be doing 10 years from now, I guess if dreams can come true, going to book signings and doing book readings for my books. Just have adoring fans asking when's your next book coming out, and making trips, a few times a year to go to various places to do book signings, read a chapter out of my newest book, and encourage people young and old to pursue their dreams. If they want to write a story, write a story. And also be a father. I would like to have children by the time I'm 40. Anyway, what about you all? Where would you like to be living and what would you like to be doing 10 years from now? Let me know in the comments below. Number 4, if God called you to move away from home, how would you think you would react? Who, me? I'd be overwhelmed. I'd be in tears. I'm packed and ready to go. Something else. I'd be overwhelmed. My wife and I have a lot of stuff. The house we are living in now was not very easily sold by the previous owner, so trying to find a real estate agent who would be willing to take on the challenge of trying to sell our house a little bit. That will, and get a cut of the proceeds, granted, but I think I would be a little bit overwhelmed. Plus, Katie and I just moved here. It's only been a year since we moved here, so it's not been that long. We haven't exactly been here a long time. We're still kind of sort of establishing ourselves. So I think it would be overwhelming for me. What about you all? If God called you to move away from home, how would you think you would react? Let me know in the comments below. Number 5, how have you learned to hear God's call on your life? Through a devotional time, by trying to cultivate my spiritual gifts, by seeking advice from Christian friends, by trusting God for help when I face new challenges, or something else. For me, it's trusting God to help. God works in mysterious ways. God for lack of a better analogy or imagery, God is the wind in my sail. I go wherever the Lord leads me. So trusting that God will take me where I need to be, that God will help me face the challenges that I face here and there and everywhere. Yeah. What about you all? How have you all learned to hear God's call on your life? Let me know in the comments below. Number 6, when it comes to your faith in God and your sense of what He has for you in the future, which response is closest to how you feel? I'm ready to pull up stakes and move out into the unknown. I'm confident that God has a task for me. I just wish I could see it. I don't know how to have faith for my future. I don't want to get all pumped up about any new adventures. For me, I'm definitely confident that God has a task for me. God has purposes for me in my current call, my previous call, and future calls. But for me, I guess I do wish on some level that I knew a little bit better what exactly it is. Like I just had some idea of, I am moving to this place to accomplish this task. Even if it's just a down the line thing. But anyway. What about you all? When it comes to your faith in God and your sense of what He has for you in the future, which response is closest to how you feel? Let me know in the comments. Number 7, what do you think God may be calling you to do? How are you feeling about this? As of right now, the only thing I can know for sure is that God is calling me to serve Holiday Island Presbyterian Church with all of my heart, mind, soul. As for a specific purpose in terms of we hit financial difficulty down the line and we need to close the church, or our brother church in Eureka Springs hits financial trouble and I need to guide this church to adopting or merging with that congregation, or even just guiding this church to taking on specific identifiers, like saying we are a Matthew 25 congregation, we're a More Light congregation, we're a Green congregation. I don't know what the specificity of the call right now is, besides just be their pastor, provide pastoral care for them, preach to them on Sundays, do these Bible studies, which hopefully pandemic will start to abate soon and we'll be able to start meeting in person and I won't just have to talk to a camera. But as for how I'm feeling about this, I feel confident. I feel like it's the right thing to do. I feel like God has picked the right person. I'm confident in my abilities to do it. And I'm confident that any challenge down the line that I face as a pastor, that this church faces as a congregation, that God will prepare me for it. God will help. God will help the congregation, help me prepare the congregation, maybe. I have faith that everything will be well, that all's well that ends well. But what about you all? What do you think God may be calling you to do, and how are you feeling about this? Let me know in the comments below. Last but not least, our final question is, how can this group support you in prayer? As always, if you do have prayer requests, please feel free to shoot me an email, give me a phone call, give me a text. If I'm in my office, stop by and visit. If you need to meet up in person, give me a call, we'll schedule something. I'm more than willing to meet up somewhere. Or even if you have suggestions for future Bible studies, let me know. I would love to hear them. Otherwise, until next time, stay well, stay safe. God bless.